MovieWeb.com.
How'd you hurt your arm?
I fell.
Me too.
I'll tell you a story.
Close your eyes. There were 5 of them. The Indian, the ex-slave, an explosive expert, Charles Darwin, and the masked bandit. They had one common enemy, Governor Odious.
Is Odious bad man?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now even though this is a rated R film, do you think that, I know...
You tell me why, but yes.
Well, I was going to say, kids who are Katina's age should be able to go see this, right? I mean, it's kind of a film for them also.
I think so. I think it's a strange system. I don't have a big machine behind me that can say, why is it, like change it or anything. I couldn't fight any of the rating questions. But most of my friends whose kids are 14, 15 have come and seen it, and I just think it's literally, they absolutely love it. And unfortunately, they won't be able to go see it. So I don't know. You go figure. I didn't realize I was making a chick flick either. But I have. But unfortunately, they won't be allowed in.
A chick flick?
I don't know. It's a little bit hardcore at parts, but not really, nothing that unless you're a retarded child, you can't handle. No, so I think they could see it. I don't know. They've given it an R rating, and hopefully they'll go with their parents. And hopefully the parents can see it first and then tell them there is an alternative to really bad blow 'em up things, and this is it.
Well, I was going to say, we were sending out emails to take your kids to it this morning, and my girlfriend didn't realize it was rated R.
I know, but it was a bit of a shocker to me, and all my friends have said the same thing. So hopefully when the parents will see it, they'll send their kids.
Well, do you think maybe it has to do with the realistic death of the monkey? I mean, that...
That's quite true. You can kill how many other people you want. Don't touch the monkey. Yeah, it's quite true. I think it tugs at certain chords, but hey, it's ketchup on a monkey. What do you want me to say?
Well, now, from what I understand, you used very little CG in this movie, right?
CG for an effect that's very rarely used for, which is just to clean up things. Not to make people look beautiful, not to create artificial world, but to, let's say if you're behind the Taj Mahal, it's full of really bad telephone poles, clean them up. There is a blue city, but there's a lot of people on the roofs, clean them up. If there's that kind of stuff I had to do, that's all it is used for. But nothing technically that you couldn't have done apart from the quality of film in, let's say, 1920. So it's gorgeous looking, but the CGI stuff is there just to make sure that the new modern elements aren't there.
Well, I guess where I was going with that is that there is a real blue city, and I want to know where it is and how you found it.
It's in Jodhpur. I've shot there many times, but it's never as blue as how blue we made it, because it's one of those things, it's a Brahmin city, it's a sacred color. People can only paint their color blue, so their house is blue. So what we did is the kind of stuff we did all over the film. We arrived there that time about 2 months before, and we told everybody we have free paint for anybody who wants it, any color they want. But legally, they're only allowed to paint their houses blue. So we just showed up with blue paint, and a lot of people came, took the blue paint and painted their city, and it looked a lot more bluer than it usually does.
Why is the government have these people paint this city blue? Why?
Government doesn't do it. It's a particular area, they're Brahmins, a particular higher caste guys who think that color is pure. So they paint their houses blue. So usually they're much more faded, but when we went there, we just gave them free paint and permission to paint it any color they wanted. We knew they weren't going to choose any other color. They all chose blue, and the city looked a lot more blue.
That's awesome. But am I correct in saying that you started filming, and it took 4 years to film the entire movie?
It took me 17 years for the locations, and it took me about 8 years to find the girl that I found. When I found her, we started shooting the hospital sequence absolutely straight in sequence. The first time she meets him is the first time she saw him. Second day she saw him is the second day she saw him. She didn't speak English. Her English started to get better and better and better. By about the 10th day, we had to slow down because the only person she was communicating was with me. And she started having an Indian accent. So I had to get Romanians in that I would speak to, then they would speak to her. So that part only took 12 weeks. Once that was finished, going around the world took about 4.5 years because it is about, I know more than 24 countries.
Well, you brought up the little girl. From what I understand, once she realized that she was acting and that the camera was on her, her acting changed. Is that right?
No, not so much. What I'd done was created an atmosphere inside her tent where we would have holes dug out for camera. And she would kind of forget those holes after some time because she was so in love with Lee, and she would just hang out. And he would drive the plot and things to go certain ways. She kind of knew that they had to go that way, but she wasn't really performing in most of the time. And when she was performing, when she got bored with it, it got dreadful. When she wasn't and she was the right amount bored and still interested was about the second or third take, those were brilliant. So she knew what was happening, but not quite, because nobody knew that Lee could walk. For example, everybody was told that the lead actor is actually the Romanian guy who's going to play the father in the fantasy. Lee is a real handicap, like they were introduced to him. And after about 12 weeks, when we told them, we had a very angry crew. People who had worked with me for 15, 16 years were saying, what, didn't you trust us? And I said, it had nothing to do with trust. The little girl needed to believe that situation. And people in a film set get so friendly and funky after some time, start to react differently if they believe you're the real deal or if you're acting. It's not so much got to do with method acting, but it's more like people, if you're a handicap, they don't jump on your bed and they don't tell you handicap jokes after 2 weeks when they've gotten familiar with the situation. They stay the same body language, and I needed that. So I created that for about 12 weeks, and when we told them, not everybody was happy, let's say.